Hey, welcome back to Grit Gym. It's Wednesday. I think it's the 4th. I think it's 4/4. Got my timer started too. That's what that ding was there. Because I'm going to try to not go over every time. From now on, I'm going to start a timer. I'm going to try to not go over. But thanks for being here. Please take the time. Send this out to everybody you know by clicking the share button. And likes and comments are always welcome. The more, if you like the message, the more attention that you give anything on Facebook, the more it's going to push out to other things. So if you like this message and you like what's going on here, please comment on the bottom, even if it's just a thumbs up signal. But today we're talking about the cumulative effect, how little things add up into the big things. And if you watch the original Batman movie, I don't know how much of a comic book person you are, but I really liked the original Batman movie. It came out in 1989. I was a little bit of a fan of the Batman movies, and I like Michael Keaton anyway. Michael Keaton's great. So I'm talking about the original Batman movie with Michael Keaton by what was his name? The guy that did Nightmare Before Christmas. What was his name? What was that director's name? Is it Bruce? No, Bruce Wayne's the guy in the movie. But anyway, so the original Batman movie, the plot behind it, like if you think of the accumulative effect, what I'm going to try to do here is talk about that today. And the original Joker, Jack Nicholson's character in the movie, the point of the movie and how he was killing people, but how was he doing it? He was killing people not through vanity products, so like hairspray, shampoo, lipstick, eyeliner, stuff like that. And I have no problem with vanity. That's not the point of the story. The point of the story is that one product didn't kill you. It wasn't one product that killed you. It was the accumulation of all the products. So it was a combination. So if you use hairspray with the lip gloss, with the eyeliner, with the this, with the that, then it would go ahead and it would kill you. And that's what would turn into like that's how he was killing people. So, and what I'm meaning here by using that story is I think that that's exactly what we're doing in our day-to-day lives. I think that's what we have today. You know, you think of all the little tiny things that go on. I think one of the things that we don't think about is what you're doing right now. There's a certain amount of waves going through you right now, like your cell phone, any mobile device, really, the internet, like all these different things that are kind of moving through us that we don't really think about, or like light in your house. Like we don't really think of the light in our house late at night, but it is a different kind of light than you would get from the sun, and is that affecting us a little bit different? The car exhaust. You know, we don't really think of 50 years ago. We didn't think of this at all. You know, when I was a little kid, you'd be out, like you'd want to go out with the guys, and the guys would all go out hunting, and then I would get so cold, man. I'd sit beside the exhaust pipe of a car just to try to warm up, and I'm sitting there and I'm sucking in all these fumes. It's obviously not good for us, and now we look at it and we're like, oh my God, that would have been awful for a little boy to be doing that. But we didn't look at it back then. Like it was just like, oh, it's just getting warm. So what I'm talking about is the accumulative effect of all of these little tiny things. I think I don't know if we look at them the way that we could. You know, we look at. Rach and I just got done watching the Manhunt with the Unabomber, and how many people. I think he only killed 3 people. But he only killed 3 people, and he injured like 8 others. So that's really, really bad. But at the same time, cancer kills like 168 or like 500. I have the numbers here somewhere. But cancer kills like almost 500,000 people every year. AIDS kills like 15,000 people every year. Obesity kills like we call it heart disease, because we really haven't put a label on obesity other than fat content and the effects of fat content. And we haven't really had enough of a base to really pull any good data off of. So that'll come out here pretty soon. But heart disease is up there as one of the top 10 killers too. Dying in a car accident is one of the most popular ways to die. But we don't look at these things. We look at like these are the most common ones, but we look at the ones that are like oh my God, like that's the most traumatic ones, the ones that give the most zags, the ones that are kind of outside of the norm. And I think we need to stop and we kind of need to look at what are all the little things that are adding up into the hairspray and into, like, I'm not saying hairspray is bad. I mean, it's probably not very good, but how many little things can you add up? Your workout every day, it's accumulating into a positive? Is it accumulating into a positive? Is the nutrition that you eat accumulating into a positive? Is the sleep that you get accumulating into a positive? Rach laughs, but she in the comment section there. But this is not from. We had this discussion this morning for quite a while, and I've actually had this plan. So Rachel, I've actually had this plan for a week to talk about this. But you do one workout per day. How you have to look at it and you have to figure out, is it working, is it serving you or is it not serving you? With food, is it serving you or not serving you? The thoughts that you have, are they consistently saying that you can, or are they consistently saying that you can't? The recovery methods that you use, what are they? Are they leading to the way that you want to live? Stress, how much stress are we actually accumulating, and how much of that is good stress and how much of that is bad stress? And the really easy way to kind of like demonstrate that, like if you had a toddler or you had a little kid and you discipline that little kid, I don't like calling it punishment, I like calling it discipline. You discipline that little kid, it's a short amount of time of discomfort for a long-term gain. So that would be like a good stress, hopefully, anyway. Work, like actually going to work. Are you making progress, or are you just burning out? Burnout is one of those things. I don't believe in burnout. The only way to burn out is to not make progress. And the only way to not make progress is to not take the necessary action to actually get you the progress that would have negated the burnout. So that goes back into, and I'm going all over the place with this talk, but in the original Batman movie, the way that the Joker was killing people was by a combination of different chemicals and different products that people use on a daily basis, and that would end up killing them. And I think that's kind of what is negative, maybe not killing us, but negatively affecting our lives. And I'm not so crazy to think that like you should just get rid of your cell phone. It's not the world we live in, but I think that like we have to take a look at this, and I don't think there's enough research out there yet to really know if it is or it isn't. Some people are like very hardcore. Cell phone is perfectly healthy and it has no effect on your body. And some people are very hardcore. No, it's destroying your body slowly. I kind of sit in the middle. I think like there's probably a time to shut your cell phone off. And I'm talking about the actual waves that go through your body. With the car exhaust, I think we've basically come to the conclusion that sucking fossil fuels into our body is probably not good. There's a lot of things that happen when women end up having an effect where their testosterone goes up. Men end up having an effect where their testosterone goes down. You're seeing this with reptiles, the first thing that we look at is fish, because fish are in contact with water, and water is where most of our stuff comes from. So the first thing we look at is fish, and then we look at reptiles because their skin is permeable, so they have a lot of effect from their general environment. So the interesting thing is we're having complete gender reversal in certain reptilian species and they think that it's because of pollution. This is beyond the transgender topic. This is not about that. I mean, I'm talking about just like biological animals that are having so much that's the effect of them from their environment. And then the lights in your house, I think like turning down the lights is one of the things that I think could be a benefit to a lot of people. I think there's something different. If you light a candle and you turn on a light, they're two different things. I'm not saying that everybody should light up their house full of candles. I do think about it from time to time. I'm like, it'd be kind of cool just to live in a house where you just had candles going and you had to blow one out and light one up again. That way it wouldn't have the same, you'd have a better circadian rhythm. But at the same time, about the time I burned down my house, you'd call me crazy. And I would call myself crazy too. But I think we have to stop and kind of look at this kind of stuff, like the little tiny minute details that go into all of our day-to-day things that add up into these big things. Because the cell phone use, probably not that big a deal by itself. A little bit of the exhaust that you breathe in while you're crossing a street, probably not that big of a deal. The lights in your house that you are exposed to for 2 hours after it gets dark, probably not a big deal. The one fast food meal that you eat per week is probably not that bad of a deal, but when you match it with the pizza that you got from the store, and then you match it with the lunch out at the restaurant, and then you match it with this, and then you match it with that, and then you match it with that, and then you go to your sleep, and you're only getting 6 hours of sleep, and then you're living in a state all day where you're really jumbled up because you had too much coffee, and then like all this other stuff, and you start dealing with the accumulative effect of all of these different things, and how big and wide that gets, and how much that accumulates into a bigger and bigger and bigger thing, and how these little tiny minute details actually add up into the big one. And all of a sudden we're left with a not healthy scenario that is not so good. And I went on and on and on there, but that was the point, was that just the little things add up into these huge deals, and the combination of them is what ends up bringing us down, making us age faster. And I think that you can do the opposite of that. I really do. I think that you can do the opposite of that, and I don't think that it's that difficult, but I do think it takes some like day-to-day focus on that thing. So if you take 60 years to you take 60 years and just completely dismantle your health, you're going to have a really hard time getting it back. But if you just do a very like minimal amount of effort on a daily basis to improve your nutrition, to improve your mindset, to improve your how you sleep and how well you sleep, or how much you sleep and how well you sleep and when you get to sleep. And then you also look at your exercise. Did I mention that already? Yeah, you also continue to improve your nutrition, continue to improve your exercise, continue to improve your mindset and your recovery. And I think that like that little bit of upfront effort is going to just pay you dividends over and over and over and over. I really always like the phrase, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And I might even, I think you could put about like an ounce of prevention is worth 100 pounds of cure. Because I don't think that there's some of this stuff that we're just not going to be able to have a cure for. You're not going to be, I don't think that you can reverse aging. I don't think it's like some people come into me and they've had surgeries, they've had multiple surgeries, and they've had multiple injuries, and they're still in pain. It's just like, can you help me? And I'm like, well, we can work around that and through that, and try to do the absolute best that we possibly can. But at some level here, it's just management, because there's already too much damage in there that cannot, and it's not like we can just undo all of that. It's why surgery should be the absolute last possible thing before we get to it. And surgery is usually not, it's not the best option, and it's usually not a very good option just in general. There's usually a better way to go about it without a surgery to actually get what you want out of your body, but you have to go talk to a specialist on that thing, and this is a funny time to do that in. But the point of this talk is that it's the accumulative effect of all the little things. So if you work out 5 days a week, you're doing yourself a huge favor. Now you've got to go and you've got to analyze what kind is that workout going for what I want or going away from what I want. Because the other day someone told me about a workout that they did where they were doing 50% of their 1 rep max on a deadlift for as many reps as they possibly could, and they got up to 51 repetitions. There's no world where you should be able to do 51 repetitions. Sorry guys, we got kicked off there, but there's no world that should. You're doing 51%. You're doing 51 deadlifts at 50% of your 1 rep max. Your technique is going to fall apart. You're going to get injured. Your body doesn't. Your tissues aren't set up for that. It's just not. It's not conducive to a good kind of stress. That's called bad stress. Bad training is bad stress, and it happens all the time. I see it on a pretty regular basis. Scroll through Instagram with me sometime, and I'll be like, yeah, this is probably not how we want to do it, but who knows? Maybe they're doing something that I don't know about. So, but we've got to figure out the how, the what, and the why of the workout. The same thing with food. Is it working for you or is it working against you? Well, we know, basically everybody knows enough to make better decisions. By the way, I almost forgot. I forgot to do this at the beginning of the show, but on April 10th, next Tuesday, we're going to have a nutrition presentation. We can only have 40 people. We figured this out last time. About 45 people came in, and we just had way too many people in that space. So we're capping it at 40. So if you don't RSVP, you can't come. But go ahead and RSVP. It's just gritgym.com/nutrition. And it's going to be a really good time. I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that I don't really get to go into on here, and it's different when you're in a different environment. You learn things a little different, and you're able to pick up on it's a different way of learning. You're able to pick up on things different, and you can ask questions. That's what I was going for. But anyway, Your thoughts. One of the things with the mindset category, I think, around the accumulative effect is like thinking that you can versus thinking that you can't. The amount of consistency that you have in your brain, like someone that constantly is like a turmoil is going to have more of this kind of stuff in their forehead, right? That they might not like. The more time that you can spend in that can scenario, the more often you're probably going to win. The more often that you win, probably the better off your progress is going to be, the better off everything else is going to go. So your thoughts, the consistent thought that you have in your head, the cumulative effect of the thoughts that you have throughout the day and throughout the week and throughout the years and throughout, is going to accumulate into what becomes your life. I listened to this thing the other day that was this guy that he went through all these different things of how he progressed through his life. And when he was young, he lived in this really small town. He thought how awesome it would be to be in a big town. And once he got older, he lived in a big town, but he missed living in the small town. And he just kept on going through those, and he said, when he wasn't a dad, he wondered what it was like to be a dad. And then when he was a dad, he almost longed for the days when he was still not in charge of all of this stuff. And he just kept on going through those over and over. And he even got into, this was a really successful dude. This is a business type podcast. And he went into how he had made this multi-million-dollar business, and he longed for the days when it was just him and just in the startup. So, and the way that he wrapped it up was that these are the good old days, these right here, right now. And I think that's absolutely true. But a lot of us like to think outside of that, where we like to think like the good old days were back then, or everything's going to be better in the future. And everything might be better in the future, but right here, right now is extremely important. And if we can be present, we can be relaxed, or we can be what we need to, what is appropriate for this moment, then things can work out very well. And that's what we're talking about with that stress thing. There's good stress and there's bad stress. And the good stress is extremely good, but we've got to analyze that and figure out how we're getting it, why we're getting it, and if we're getting it in the way that is conducive to the life that we want to live and the work that we want to be doing. The bad stress is thinking the not good enough stuff. The bad stress is when there's some kind of turmoil, there's some kind of obstacle that isn't really there, that we believe the lie that the obstacle exists. But anyway, I think I can stop this one short because I got through everything that I was going to say. But anyway, thanks for being here, guys. I really appreciate it. The cumulative effect is what will end up, the small little things that we don't really think of are the things that will add up into the big deals. The big ones, they're obvious. We're already going to notice those. So take a look at all the little tiny things that you do throughout the week. Take a look at each one of everything that goes into your mouth, because it's not the Thanksgiving meal that makes you fat. It's the 3 meals of 360. It's the thousands of meals that you ate outside of that one Thanksgiving meal that adds up to where we want to be or where we don't want to be. And it's that way with every single thing that we do. When Rachel and I were talking about that this morning, she was kind of saying, like, I don't know if it's that big of a deal. And I'm like, no, this is a huge deal. This is everything. This is the whole show, all of it. And I think part of the reason I think this way is because I was kind of forced into it. I think like Rachel's so much smarter and has so much more brain power than I do that she can kind of get by on her wits and get by on just the thoughts that she has and the abilities that she has, where I don't get that option. So I had to get really good at all the little tiny things and crossing the T's and dotting the I's and being extremely detailed and knowing that those things are going to add up to the big deals. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to be where I am now. But I think if you applied that to someone who is as smart as Rachel, who's just like on like kind of that super smart level, then you can do just outrageous, amazing things in this world. But anyway, thanks for being here, guys. Please clap the share button. Please slap the share button. Send this out to everybody you know. I really appreciate you being here. It's pretty cool when people actually show up to this. When I started this, I was like, no one's ever going to show up. It's just going to be a thing where I'm just going to sit here and talk to myself, and maybe someone will stumble off on it someday. But it's pretty neat when you guys actually do. But anyway, I'm going to get going. April 10th, next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Make sure to RSVP. It's gritgym.com/nutrition. Anyway, thanks for being here, guys. I'll see you soon.